Well, alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. It's December 23rd, 5:41 a.m. Really close to Christmas, so I figured why not load up a 14 pellet 30 cal number 1 buck load in a 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge shell. Today we're using the MG 42 wad 14 pellets of 30 cal number 1 buck, 2 3/4 inch shell, some long shot powder, Winchester primer, and we're putting together a very nice buckshot load here. But before I roll on with that, we stopped at my mom's house a couple days ago and, just hung out for a little while with my brothers and my mom's boyfriend. He works at a tire shop, and we got to talking. Turns out he has a bunch of used wheel weights just sitting around up there. So I've got about 100, and we're guessing 130, 140, maybe even 150 pounds of lead in a 5-gallon bucket sitting here. I'll show you. It's actually quite impressive how much lead is in here. Sorry for the low light, but we skimmed through the top of that last night right there and only found, I think it was 2 or 3 pieces of zinc. Didn't find any steel except for the piece you see right here. But it appears to be mostly lead, which is awesome. It's so heavy you can hardly pick it up with one hand. And apparently, there's a lot more where that came from, so thanks Patrick, that's awesome. So apparently here in Grayson, Kentucky, right now it's 5 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the wind chill it feels like it's negative 14. For you Celsius guys out there, that is negative 15 degrees Celsius with a wind chill of negative 25 degrees Celsius. We have snow on the ground. I believe that's the first time this year, maybe the second. But it's cold, guys. Anyway, how about we stop yapping and actually load something? So, again, once fired, a stayed here. We have the Lee load-all resize ring. That one's actually for 16 gauge. Where's my 12 gauge one? There it is. I've got a big mess going on over here. If you can't tell, me and Josh have a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of slug videos, some buckshot videos, just some fun range videos too. Even stuff with 20 gauge. But, yeah. Deprimed and resized. We're going back with a Winchester primer if I can find them. I got them. Yes, they're in a shut-out box, but they are Winchester primers. Alright, this is a roughly 1.5 ounces. It's 1.46 ounces of total payload with a buffer and all. So I'm using a powder charge for 1.5 ounces in a straight wall 2 3/4 inch shell. Powder I'm using is Hodgdon Long Shot. We're using 28 grains of it. The 28 grains with the roughly 1.5 ounce payload is 1260 FPS, so it's absolutely respectable for a 2 3/4 inch shell. Let's double check that. There's our 28 grains. Yep, we have 28. The wad I'm using is an MG 42, and now that I look at it, it looks like, yeah, this is the one that Josh turned into a 4-pedal version. When I first got my wad slitter from Gary Caskey, Josh was playing around with it and turned a few of these MG 42s into 4-pedal wads instead of 2-pedal. But I'm sure it'll still pattern great. That hurt. I've got a hole in my finger, guys. I fell on a glass plate yesterday. I'm lucky it's not way worse than what it is, but yep, I have a chunk missing out of my finger. Alright, our wad is in place. Now we need 14 pellets of 30 cal number 1 buck, which I have right here. My hard cast, tumbled and polished 31 cal, or 30 cal. These stacked by 2s in here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. 14 pellets comes up right to the top of the wad. Just works out perfectly. Now, the total lead payload weight is 1.38, I think it was, so 1 3/8 ounces. With the buffer, it gets us up to 1.45, 1.46. I'm using original buffer today. Ballistic Products original. There it is. I was looking all over for that thing. There's 1 scoop of the Lee 2.2 CC dipper. I'll tell you what, this original buffer really goes down in there fast with these tumble and polish pellets. So that was 2 full scoops of the Lee 2.2cc dipper, and we have it exactly where we need to be. Top row of pellets is halfway covered. Now, if you want to, you can put on a very thin nitro card over top this just to help, you know, keep the buffer in and a little bit better crimp. That's actually what I'm going to do here, is just use a very thin nitro card. These were sent by Matt. He also sent us some Flex Seal, gas seals for, you know, 12 gauge. But I'm using one of these. I believe it's just the 12 gauge overshot card, I think. I'm just using one little thin piece of it right here. You can see the difference. Just enough to go on top to help keep the buffer in. Looks just like that. This is an 8-point crimp, so front station of the Lee load-all, and you want the valley right here facing you. This one should look really good, guys. That's a very nice pre-crimp on that. Oh yeah. Looks like a factory crimp. That's a 14 pellet, 1260 FPS, 30 cal #1 buckload. That's good enough to take down game at probably 60 yards with that wad right there. I don't know about the 4 pedals, but the 2 pedal wad is a great extended range buckshot wad. Now, Martin sent me and Josh, I have one laying here somewhere. Guess not. I'll just use the one off the press. This is a taper die for the Lee load-all. It works for 10 through 20 gauge. I tried it on a 24 and it belled out just a little bit, so I'm saying 10 through 20 just, you know, because in my experience 24 gauge wads did not work with it. But let me get the camera turned around here and I'll show you what this thing does. Alright, so we're at my 10 gauge press now, but again, this is a taper die from eBay. These are made in Ukraine. They take about 2 weeks to come into the country, but how it works is, you saw me, you just slide it right up in your pre-crimp tube, either one of them, set your hull where it needs to go, and treat it like it's a brand new station. And this tapers your shells. Check it out. Well, I think you guys can see it. I'll turn the camera around, but as you guys can see, it finishes your shell way better feeding in semi-autos. So here's a little bit better view of what this thing does. As you can see, it puts a very nice taper on your shells. It's still got a deep set crimp. It's stepped down to roughly 16 gauge up here, you know, the overall diameter of the shell. But big fan of this thing right here. It really works awesome. The camera's not doing it justice, but in person it's got one heck of a taper. Here's an original AA shell. I greatly, you know, over-exaggerated that taper there. That one is road cone shape. It stepped down to like 20 gauge right here. But that's what that thing does, guys. I'll throw a picture of it up here on the eBay listing anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't do a lot of 2 3/4 inch stuff anymore in 12 gauge, but sometimes it's nice to get back into it. I started off loading 16 gauge and 2 3/4 inch 12, and then worked my way up to 10 and 3.5 inch 12 gauge from there, and of course the smaller gauges. But anyway, we want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section down below. We will get back to you. We have a Patreon if you want to go check that out for as little as $1 a month, and every penny we get goes right back into the channel. We also have an Instagram. I'll leave that in the description below as well if you guys want to go check that out. We post some cool behind the scenes stuff on there, some hints at upcoming content too, things like that. But other than that, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.